Hello everyone and welcome to Rogue Valley Community Television at Southern Oregon University and to the Real Estate Show here for October the 13th, our live event. I'm Pete Belcastro, a principal broker at John L. Scott Real Estate.
Hi everybody, and I'm Joe Brett, also at John L. Scott Real Estate, and glad to have you along for the Real Estate Show for the month of October.
Well, you know, it's fall, the weather's fabulous, the market is still perking along. It remains a seller's market, and tonight in our first segment we're going to kind of show you the statistics as to why that is, and it's really interesting, as you know.
If you've not seen your realtor at the gym or have missed them at church a couple of times in the last few months, it's because they've been really busy, and some of our realtors are panting right now with the home sales that have taken place the last 3 months.
Fall sometimes, you know, it kind of slows off, but it's really doing well. So anyway, we'll show you the stats about that in our first segment. Segment 2 tonight, well, property tax statements are in the mail, and we'll have Jackson County Assessor Josh Gibson will be along in the second part of our show tonight. What's the valuation? What happened in 2014 before we even get to where we are today? Josh will be along for that. That's all coming up on the Real Estate Show next here on RVTV.
And welcome back, everybody. It's the October edition for the Real Estate Show. Joe Brett here for the Market Watch in segment 1, as we are apt to do each month. And we're going to take a look back at a 3-month snapshot for the last 3 months, July, August, and September, 2014 to 2015, and show you some numbers that reflect a pretty strong real estate market and one that still favors sellers in a number of ways. We'll get to that in just a minute. First, let me introduce our panel. 2/3 of our panel for the Market Watch are in the studio and ready to roll tonight, and we're awaiting Guy Giles from Ditech Mortgage if he can make it by this evening. But to my left, a new member of the panel, and joining us tonight, Don McCoy from John L. Scott Real Estate. Welcome, Don.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Good to have you here. And folks recognize Brad Bennington.
Howdy.
He's a regular here on the Market Watch
Right,
and on our real estate show. He's the CEO of the Home Builders Association of Jackson County.
Yeah.
Welcome back. And you're on time, right on time tonight.
Yes. Man, how about that?
Good work. It's a hard deadline. At 6 o'clock we go. So we think Guy's on his motorcycle somewhere between here and the studio, and he'll be here shortly. Don, we've seen you on the Rogue Valley Community Television channels before, and folks know probably from your media experience dating back to KCMX Radio. You've been in the Valley a long time. You're very well known for green building and knowledge of the green market in housing. And we've seen you on the Green Economy Sustainable Valley program that has played here for the past couple of years. So welcome with all of that build up. You know, tell us a bit about where you're at and what you're doing these
Well,
days.
thank you. It's all about education, Joe. It's about that bridge between the known and the unknown, and that's where my little niche has been, is trying to help people understand how we can have better built homes, healthier homes, more durable, more energy efficient all the way around, and be more self-sufficient, independent, and self-reliant as we go along all the way. So all these things I've done has been try to bring the public down to meet with the people that create these things, and thus the TV show, the Oregon Green Expo, all of these different venues.
And we are, as a result, we're kind of an area that is doing some neat things, kind of leading in some ways and out in front with some of these new techniques and practices.
We sure are. In fact, the whole state of Oregon is one of the leading states in building codes, energy efficient building codes. Can't get away from it anymore. Had a realtor here a few weeks ago. He said, "Oh, that green thing you were into, that didn't go anywhere." And I looked at him, I said, "Well, you haven't been paying attention, because it's written into our building codes more than we've ever had before."
And more consumers are having a preference for those types of homes and all of the advantages that come with them, which leads us to the new home builders who are building all of these great homes, and in fact are going to tour and show off some of those over the coming couple of weekends in October.
Yep.
This program will air a little bit past the tour of homes, but we're going to see a lot of homes just like Don is talking about on the tour, Brad.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that Don brings up, what we used to call green building, and we still kind of do. But what we call green building here in Oregon now, as Don has correctly said, is just code. Oregon has actually had a legislative initiative that wrote what they call a REACH code into the building code, that every code cycle, we're running a 36-month code cycle, the code actually requires more efficiency. Now, this is where we get involved. I actually sit on the state board that works this out with the legislators and with our code writers, but because you can only sharpen the pencil so much, right? So for instance, if you got a car that only gets 10 miles a gallon, and you say, well, we can take this car to 15 miles a gallon, that's a 50% increase, and we've done that and more. But if you have a car that already gets 40 miles a gallon, you're not going to get a 50% increase without really, really, really getting exotic. And of course, the more exotic you get, the more money it costs, and there's the balance. But this is what we all know, and this is what we all agree on, is that we really do have some of the most energy efficient homes ever built being built right now here in Southern Oregon.
Yeah.
Yep. And just to tag on to that, I think what Brad's talking about is what Energy Trust of Oregon created with the Energy Performance Score, the EPS score that's coming along. And Oregon has now 8,000, over 8,000 homes that have been created with the Energy Performance Score. Just almost 2,200 last year alone, and well over 1,500 already this year. And that's where existing homes or new construction homes have been rated on their energy efficiency. And the insulation, the lighting, the water, everything about it. So
any idea how that paces nationwide, our state?
We're ahead.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, we're ahead.
Yeah, well, that's pretty significant for the size of our state. That's a number of homes that you're talking about. Our third panelist has joined us here on set, Guy Giles from Ditech Mortgage. Welcome, Guy.
Hey, thanks. I'm running a little bit late on my 55 mile to the gallon motorcycle today, so thanks for letting me sneak in.
Better safe and here safely, better slower and here safely than trying to rush, and we've got plenty of time for you. Welcome. We're talking with Don McCoy and with Brad Bennington about green homes. We're going to show some off here in the Rogue Valley during the month of October on the Home Builders Home Tour. Are you finding clients coming in for mortgages more and more? Are there preferences? Are they looking for that advantage?
Usually when they're talking to me, they're a little bit more concerned with what their rate's going to be in their term, but it's definitely on the front of everybody's mind. I know last year when I changed and I hired one of your guys to come out and put a new system in my house, I had a hybrid system put in, and it just makes sense. So, I don't get asked that question a ton, but I know if it's got that kind of a mark, or somebody's going to do something for the environment or for their pocketbook, they're going to be pleased to have it.
Are there incentives out there for folks for green programs and green building?
He might acknowledge that there were energy efficient mortgages. They were a little bit stronger back in the early 2000s, but they just don't provide very much incentive, maybe 1/8 of a point over the course of a 30-year loan. But it's taking into account that the home just doesn't cost as much to live in, and it's going to last longer. It's a better investment. And so an energy efficient mortgage, I wish and hope someday they become more efficient
Yeah. And
for the homeowner.
And just get more people to buy into the
More
program.
incentive to do it. And what we need is appraisers that know how to identify the green features in homes and push that into the underwriters and say, hey, look here, this is a better built home.
Right. And some obvious advantages to the energy savings and the efficiency of the home and all that comes with it. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to showcase that a little bit in our homes tour.
Yes, we are.
Let's get to our market watch statistics here, and then we'll have some time to chat as we go. And first off, just a quick tour from you three of where the market is. It's been screaming. We're going to see some really strong numbers for this 3-month snapshot. What have you been seeing on the streets, Don?
Oh my gosh, there's more buyers than there are homes. Our inventory's low, as we keep hearing. The rental market is suffering. There isn't enough rental homes out there for people that are in the need. We're short on all kinds of inventory all the way around.
Anything under $300,000 is getting a pretty strong look and some pretty good demand, and the higher priced homes have been moving as well. Still putting up the new homes, solid line.
I talked to half a dozen builders today, just today, and the things I heard aren't going to surprise you or anybody here. They're the things that you and I have been talking about for a while. We've only got 40% of the workforce today that we had 10 years ago. Skilled labor is at a premium. One of the builders that I talked to begged and pleaded another builder and borrowed 3 of his carpenters, and they were colleagues. So the one carpenter says, well, my work schedule isn't quite that bad for the next couple weeks. I'll loan you 3 of my carpenters.
Wow.
And so the guy, it's like, yeah, I'll buy you pizza for a year, So, I mean, so that's the deal. The deal is that our builders realize there's demand. They're being as responsible and productive as they can be with the resources that they have. And the reality is that we've got a shortage of buildable lots. We don't have a shortage of buildable land. We've got, right now in Southern Oregon, we're good on land. But we do have a crunch right now as far as inventory of buildable lots and as far as available homes for you to sell.
Yeah. And we're going to see that continue to be.
And we're trying to fix that.
The shortage of inventory is going to be tied to that as we go forward, because we can't build the homes to keep up with the increasing population. And I know you've been busy because your interest rates are still great, and it's still a great time for people to get into home ownership and make that step.
I think a lot of the conversation we're having right now is there's a lot of people that are kind of in between. They can't afford their dream home yet, but they're able to get into at least something. I had a lady in about 2 hours ago that said, we just kind of did the math, and if things keep appreciating like they are, if she waits until next year to save up that other 5 or 10%, then she's going to lose $25,000, $30,000 in appreciation, which obviously we can't speak to what's going to happen over the next year, but just as things are going right now, people are just getting in the game if they can with the starter house. But yeah, I have way more buyers than I have, or pre-quals than I have active deals right now, because it is tough to find a house. So if you find that right one, I'd go in with a good strong offer. Use your real estate agent. They'll know what's solid enough that can get accepted. And I don't know.
Go strong, because the sellers are kind of driving the bus.
That's right. You might remember the last 2 years we averaged 26% in Jackson County in growth. Equity growth, which averages 13% a year. This year, we're on track for at least 1% a month in equity growth. So that's coming back. It's a good time to be thinking about selling for people that think that they can't or they shouldn't yet. They really ought to take a good look at it if they need to.
Yep. And they're going to be seller confidence going forward as if we continue steady growth and they continue to build some equity over the next couple of years, going to strengthen their position. Good things.
Hey, Joe, I had something I wanted to share. Just this afternoon, I pulled up the National Association of Home Builders stats. Aren't they? You know who they are?
Yeah, nice outfit. Yeah.
And those guys are pretty sharp.
Yes, they are.
And they came up with what the top influences were for buyers buying homes. And guess what number one is in today's world? 90% of the people surveyed said they want a safe community. Now that's significant. 88% said they want an energy efficient home, low maintenance, 85%. 85% said lower operating costs, and durable and resilient. So what is that, durable and resilient? That's just a better built home, taking close attention to building science techniques that we hadn't in years and years past.
And Brad has been singing the praises of these well-built, brand-new homes, and the value they're going to take forward.
It's all about value.
Yep. And we're going to try to get some, we could build them and we'll get them sold for you. And
Yes. What an idea. Hey, there's an idea. I like that.
let's take a look at our statistics for the Market Watch for this October 13th program here on RV TV. Great to have you along, folks. And starting things out, as you know, we're on Charter Channel 180 and KMD Radio on AM 1440 and FM 106.7 at 11 o'clock on Saturday mornings. And remember, during the month of October, these coming 2 weekends, Friday through Sunday,
That's
16th
right.
through the 18th, 23rd through the 25th. This is Brad and the Home Builders Association Tour of Homes. And that's one we've been hinting about here. And about how many are on tour there, Brad? And where can they find out the lineup for that?
Yeah. We've got 15 homes on the tour, and the publication is going to come out in the Mail Tribune this Friday, but it's already online now. The PDF for that is online right now at our website at hbajc.com, and we're also sharing that on social media on our Facebook page, and we're also sharing that with some of our other partners, such as the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. So you can go there and look at these, and this is just, it's really, really a wonderful event where people can go and check out you drive by these homes, you think, oh, wonder what it would look like if I could really, well, guess what, now you can.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, we've got homes of every stripe and kind, and boy, do we have some stunners.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of homes, I'm not going to tell you what they are, you'll see them for yourself, but we've got a couple of homes that are just going to knock your socks off when you see them.
And you get to meet some builders and talk with the folks and learn about the homes and about the construction process.
We've got a home that I toured today that when from the time you walk through the front door until you walk out the other side, your jaw is just going to drop.
Good. I'm going to get the hot list from you before my wife and I go out on one of those Sundays. That's the tour
I think
of
the
homes.
one on your flyer is selling for under 100 too, right?
Yeah, under 100 million. That's right.
HBAJC.com is where you get the lineup for the tour of homes, and that's over the next couple of weekends. And you may see this show after the fact, and you'll be kicking yourself that you missed it, and you really wish you would have gone. And don't miss it. That's the best thing we could tell you. Just be there.
Free to the public.
Yeah. 2 years I was a judge in Bend on the Greenbuilt homes in Bend back in 07 and 08, 2 Julys in a row for the Home Builders Association up there, and what an experience that was.
Yeah.
We had these special checkoff sheets. What made this home so different compared to a conventionally built home?
Neat.
And we had the $1 million categories, $300,000 categories and under, and it was significant on what Bend has done with their Greenbuilt homes. And I believe that we're tagging on and maybe ride some coattails. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, people love to look at homes, especially other people's homes. So it's, we think we're going to have a lot of happy people.
Yep, then we're going to show them all off. Let's go to our statistics now, and we've been threatening to give you these stats, and there are some pretty interesting numbers and some pretty interesting activity to check on. Pending sales, now this is for a July, August, September 3-month snapshot from 2014 to this year, 2015. Pending sales are up 30%, have nearly 300 homes went pending in that 3-month period. The new listings also up about 7%, and that's not enough to keep up with the demand. The days on market is down a little bit. That tells us that the inventory is tight and the homes are going a little bit faster. List price versus sales price, again, sellers are getting over 95% of their asking price on most of these transactions now. That's about a 1.5% increase. Available homes per buyer, look at that. The inventory has dropped almost half from this 3-month period from 1 year ago, and the monthly supply has dropped by over half, from 5.5 months worth of homes that were on the market in this 3-month period in 2014 to just 2.6 on the market now in 2015. And the key box activity, a little slower, even though there have been some more sales and activity, but yeah, quite a range of numbers there to digest.
Yeah. Now these are all homes. Wait till you get to new homes.
Yeah. Existing home sales, 589 sold for that 3-month period a year ago, 768 for the 3-month period this year. That's a huge jump. That's what I meant about your realtors not being at the gym or at church on some Sundays. They've been out selling some homes and probably panting at the end of that 3-month run. Days on the market down a little bit because that demand is kind of driving that and also driving the median price up, 4% rise in the median price from last year to this year, and a significant jump from 2010 as we've all witnessed. That pretty good growth in our property values. New construction homes. Here you go, Brad.
Bang.
We're about the same number sold, a few more days on the market, but the biggest change is the change in that median price.
Hey Joe, Those last two lines on the bottom, can you know, my eyes are having a hard time. Can you tell me what those numbers are?
That says up
how many percent?
58% from 2010.
Is that what that says? Oh my goodness.
It says up 28% in the last year.
Yeah. Does that sound like a big number to anybody besides me?
Boy, that's a big, healthy, good number. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And as you mentioned, that's not just that median price is not raising because the profit margins are raising. The cost for the labor, the cost for materials, there are a lot of factors that are driving those prices. And as you mentioned, the cheap land is not to be had anymore.
Yeah, I'll tell you something without any fear of being wrong at all, and that is that increase in percentage in cost has nothing to do with the increase in profit to the contractor. These are all cost drivers that the contractor has no choice but to absorb and pass on to the customer, and would love not to have to, but has absolutely no choice in the matter.
Yep. And that's part of what's kind of driven the median price up. But still, they're building these great homes that are great values, and get your hands on one if you can.
Yeah, you and I have talked about this before. And when we talk about a house, we kind of get this idea, that the value's in what we call the bricks and the sticks. But something that you and I have talked about a lot, and this just really underlines it, is we went through a period of time when very inexpensive building lots were available because they'd been put in by other developers. These lots went back to the lenders recycled those to other developers, and for several years we had some really bargain lots that were out there.
Yeah.
So but again, that's a trick that you can only do once, right? You can only pull that trick one time. So as these bargain price lots began to be built out and sold, what happened to the availability of the lots that were left? That availability is getting lower and lower and lower, and of course the lower the availability of those bargain price lots, what's going to happen to price? Because what is the biggest cost driver in a home? The biggest cost driver in a home is the dirt underneath the house. So as those bargain price lots are absorbed and built out and go away, now you have more expensive dirt, which is what's left, and that's the main cost driver that you're seeing in this number.
Our population is going to double in the next 20 years here in the Rogue Valley, so just keep building them because we're going to need them, and those are going to continue to be in demand. Rural property sales, pretty brisk, same number, pretty close. 5 to 10 acre properties have seen a little bit of a surge. 10 acres and above, about the same there. 167 sales for that 3-month period, pretty robust, and medium price on those about $330,000. Closed transactions, over 90% now are normal sales.
Wonderful.
Equity-friendly sales, and that's the highest I think we've seen that number. Don, when we started 7 years ago charting this, we were at about 68% were short sales or REOs were making up as you remember, the bulk of the sales in the market. Now we're back more to a much more normal type of closed transactions snapshot.
That's
right there.
As we've known, there was a lot of shadow inventory, as we called it, that the banks held back and just trickled it into the marketplace over time to control the price.
Yeah.
If they flooded the market with these things, trying to dump them, what would that have done to our inventory and our prices?
Yeah.
It would have lowered them. So they very carefully have doled them out. And they're still out there. They trickle in here.
They do, yeah. I still scout them out every now and then, and those banks have done okay because they're getting a little more for those properties than they would if they'd have just liquidated them 3 years ago and mass flooded the market and gone through that process. They're doing a little better with those, and yeah, they're able to wait it out and play that card.
Yeah.
So real estate show, quick numbers up for Josephine County. They are up on the sales, down on the days on market, up on the median price, much like Jackson County. New construction up there picked up pretty good this year compared to last year in that 3-month snapshot. They've been a little bit behind us, Brad, but they're getting some building done up there.
Yeah, their market is, we got 80,000 people in Medford, 200,000 people in Jackson County. They've got, I think, 35,000 people in Grants Pass and maybe 45 in the whole county.
Right.
So the numbers.
Just the scale of it.
Just the scale, yeah.
Yep. And rural sales up there, booming, 162. It's just some folks that don't want the sheriff around and have new interest in having rural property these days.
Well, you know, it's really significant to watch rural property, how fast it does sell.
Yeah.
People want a little room around them. They're going to have a garden like I do, you know, maybe some chickens like I do, maybe some bees like I do or something, and just want to expand and be a little more permaculture, if you will.
So Don, what's with these really tall fences that everybody's building these days? What's that all about?
Hey, it's a growth opportunity. You want to get in on it? Yeah.
That's a good word for it. Growth opportunity, and a lot of folks are. But there you see the normal sales again doing their thing up there at Josephine County. And folks, don't forget the tour of homes coming up the 16th to the 18th, 23rd through the 25th. Brad says that just your jaw will drop from start to finish.
Some of these houses are going to blow your socks off, I'm telling you.
Awesome.
And again, the other thing is a lot of this is when you're looking at these houses, you get to see things that whether you're going to build your own house or whether you just want to incorporate some of these things in your own house and do a little bit of remodeling, you're going to get some great ideas. You're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to talk to some really nice people, and at the end of the day, you're going to have a really good time, learn a lot of stuff, and it's all free.
Yeah.
This is all presented free courtesy of the Home Builders Association and our sponsor, Technology Design Associates.
What about you good guys?
Yeah, learn how to run your home with a smartphone.
That's the one I want to see. I want to turn my water on and off and do all that stuff with my phone.
Technology Design Associates will show you how to run your whole home with a smartphone, and it's easier than you think.
I have grandkids that are home when I'm not, and I'd like to know. And I'd like to flip off some lights and do some of those things. It'd be great to see that. We've kind of blown through the numbers and all that, Guy. What's the forecast from the financial standpoint,
Well,
and any new tidbits for us?
In my opinion, same thing that I've been saying for a year now. We're not going to see rates going up. I think that the instability over in Europe right now with all the people coming in, I don't know how in the world they're going to economically handle that. So I think we're good for a while on rates. I really do. I know it's the same thing. I might as well put a tape recorder for a year and a half since I've been on the show, but I think our rates are good and they're going to stay that way.
Yeah, it just feels like a time just kind of stay put and
yeah, and I had 4 signings today, and all of them were under 4% on our rates, so we're still really good. And you know, and that's not even the Govy stuff. That's regular conventional loans, so they're really good and they're kind of sticking around.
Opportunity knocks out there to be able to get into a home with a low rate like that. First off, you can own a home for about what it costs you to rent a home, or sometimes even cheaper with the rental market as tight as it is right now. A property you know you're not going to get moved out of, you're going to own that home and not have to deal with rentals and homes being sold out from underneath you, and you're going to build wealth and set yourself up to go forward. So it'd be a great time to talk to Guy at Ditech Mortgage if you're out there thinking about that. Just find out where you're at and what your buying power is and what's within your reach, and go from there. And you can get with a realtor, and we'll get out there and get you squared away. It's kind of the process in a nutshell.
Yep, yeah, that's it. You know, there's a lot of people. You know, if you're getting in the low 4s or high 3s, by the time you get your tax breaks on that, you're paying a lot less than that for your rate.
Yep.
So
yeah,
it's a good idea and then get a good real estate agent or a builder, obviously.
Yep, and get her done. Anything on the horizon? Green homes. Interesting stuff
Well,
to keep an eye out for?
I hope we're going to get to see some like Earth Advantage certified homes or some kind of certified homes in this tour. There should be a couple because some of those builders have adopted the certification programs out there, as you might know. There's LEED certification, which is like the Rolls-Royce of the system and extremely expensive because it's the Rolls-Royce. But then the Earth Advantage comes in with just as effective and efficient certification, third-party verification, that this home was indeed built green on a variety of levels, whether or not it has alternative energy like solar or wind or geothermal or something like this. Then it could go possibly Earth Advantage Platinum, I believe, if they had alternative energy of some sort built into all the other energy efficient features.
Interesting, and we have people doing all kinds of stuff off the grid and energy.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get to see some of those.
Yeah.
So I'll be looking forward to it. So
I'll see you out there. My wife and I are heading out on Sunday and picking them out, and I'm going to get with you and get the hot leads from you, so we want to see that.
Yeah, well, what you're going to see is you're going to see that we've got a really nice map built into our tour directory that's going to get published in the Mail Tribune. So we've got tear sheets on all the houses that are in it. We've got lots of information about that way. And then the map is really cool because you kind of do the Google Maps thing where you can see all of it. And then we've got little sub-maps where you can really drill down and see where the actual houses are. So you're not going to get lost. We have our tour of homes special lawn signs that are going to lead you right to the homes.
Cool.
They're just your nice little, with our tour of homes logo on it. It'll lead you right to the home. And then all the homes are staffed with people that are going to be helpful, answer your questions, show you around, make sure you're well taken care of, make sure you have a good experience.
Excellent. Guy Giles from Ditech, Brad Bennington from the Home Builders. Don, how can folks get a hold of you if someone has a question about a green home, or you're a great expert and have great knowledge?
I'm the real McCoy Real Estate.
That's right.
Everybody can figure that one out, and I'm all over the internet. All you have to type in is Don McCoy, John L. Scott, Don McCoy Real Estate, whatever. There I am.
Don McCoy, Green Valley Sustainable
Yeah.
Green Homes.
I even have an
Sustainable
app. I'm so sophisticated.
That's good stuff. Thank you for coming tonight. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for a great segment. As always, stay tuned though. We're far from finished with this edition of the Real Estate Show. Pete Belcastro is standing by with our county assessor and another guest. Stay tuned for that segment after this.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Show, our October 15th show, segment 2. Well, you know, coming up around election time every year, November the 1st-ish, property tax statements are put out in the mail, and you know, all 100,000 of those tax statements that go out, one person's responsible for those. It's Josh Gibson. He's the county assessor. He's with us tonight. We're going to talk to him about those. And also joining him tonight is Pamela Lorange, who is the managing broker for the Ashland office of Windermere. And
Right.
you and Bruce, your husband, you guys have been doing this a long time.
Yep.
So we got both of them here today. Great deal of experience, and thanks for joining us. Well, Josh, first of all, property taxes are those things that sometimes I want to like strangle you. I mean, you know, kind of thing. And other times I'm confused. I don't know what I'm looking at. So anyway, you got that responsibility. You've been assessor now for 4 years. And first of all, how you came into that job, and how you doing 4 years later?
I'm doing good.
You like it?
So yeah,
Yeah.
more comfortable at it. You know, it is. I send out my Christmas card every in October.
Yeah.
So everybody gets it. So
You've gone through your first
Oh, yeah.
election, I remember
Yeah.
as well, and here you are. Well, the one thing before we get going is people want to know when the statement comes out, the value, the kind of we saw values, you know, go down, and for the last few years they're going back up. So what is your report going to look like when you tell the commissioners about valuations or whatever in the county for this last year?
well, for residential properties, about 88% went up by more than 1%. But you're going to see areas of Central Point, Eagle Point, that got hurt during the recession that are still very strong in the rebound, upwards of 15%. Everywhere across the board, City of Ashland, City of Medford, depending on what area you're in, you're probably going to be seeing a real market value increase of about 6 to 15% as well.
6 to 15%.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so then 4% of the residential properties just stayed the same. So that was, the majority of those were Shady Cove and Butte Falls. And then another 4% also decreased in real market value as well.
Yeah.
So those are condos, but then the surprising thing is higher end homes, whether it's East Medford, Jacksonville, the Ridge properties in Ashland, they're decreasing in value.
Decreasing
Yes.
in value. Interesting. Well, that's like all over the board. Pam, as we hear him, as real estate brokers, why is valuation, why is this important in our world?
The valuation of the home itself, or
Just
the
what
tax
he's talking
evaluation.
about here.
Well, because, as you know, real estate moves the economy, and so the value of a person's home is usually the biggest asset that most of us have. And so it's important that the value of our home stay strong. I mean, it makes a difference in our own personal economies and in the economies of the area.
And you've seen the same thing in terms of over the years of when it drops so far. And
It's kind of like hope. You know, you buy that hoping that you're going to sell it, or with a great probability that you're going to sell it for more than what you purchase it for. But you had, 6 or 7 years of where we didn't have that, and it actually, I mean, a lot of people foreclosed, a lot of people had to short sell. So that's the
yeah. I mean, when we started doing
was
our
quite a
show in
nightmare, yeah.
2009, almost 70% of sales in Jackson County at that time, were foreclosed or either short saled or foreclosed properties.
And the statistics that just came out said
It's
94% are normal sales.
Like 90-some percent now has turned around. So obviously the values have risen.
Yes.
And so less people are underwater than were. And that's what's fueling the market, isn't it right now, would you say?
Yeah.
I would say that, and demand, supply and demand. I think that's one of the key things.
Even though prices are going up, the inventory in Ashland alone is down 24% over last year.
Yeah.
So that also fuels prices going up because of the demand.
Yeah, and I know today the National Association of Realtors had a stat that came out across the country for the month of August. I believe it was 5% of sales were foreclosed properties and 2% were short sales across the nation. So that really has changed. So we're kind of out of that world. What scares me though, and you guys, I'm almost like one of those people that say, I shouldn't say these things, but if we're having values go up and up and up like we had preceding to 2008, is there a danger we're going up too fast? Is that out there, or am I just crazy about that?
Well, I think that's what happened in Jackson County and Bend. We were the hardest hit in Oregon, and that's because we also had the highest appreciation. There were a couple of years there where we had 20% appreciation, and it's just not sustainable. But now we're predicting more. I know that Josh's spread is a little wide, but that's because there's so many different price ranges. The economists are telling us average, they expect us to have about a 7% increase. Now that's
7%.
sustainable.
I would say 5 to 7 is kind of okay in that
That's what
area.
you're shooting for.
If you get into the double digits, that's when we get into trouble. Is that a fair way to kind of assess it?
Yeah.
So we're not there yet.
I don't think so. I think if you drew a line from, say, 2003 to where we are now, regardless of this, the
big
bubble, it probably looks like a straight line. It's like if it would have grown at a normal pace like we were always used to, then I think it's kind of settled out. But like you were saying, you want that 5 to 7%.
Right.
Otherwise, you do start getting scared. Is like, is this sustainable? Are we doing the exact same thing that we did 8 years ago to get us back in the situation?
Well, it's really good to hear that it's in that range, that more sustainable range. I was really fearing that it was going to be double digits it seemed like it was heading that direction the way prices were going, especially in Ashland, places like that.
Yeah.
So is there any of the areas that you, as you talked about, that are hitting that double digit in the county?
Yeah, the Eagle Point, Central Point, various places in West Medford and East Medford, but it's not like it was last year where those figures were 25%, 22%.
Okay.
It's starting to flatline, or not flatline, but get
don't
back
like
to
that
where
term.
we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We don't want to see a flatline.
So the real market value, again, that people will see on their property statements that they'll be seeing when the show kind of plays, that is the value that you say a person should be able to sell their home for in a normal market on January 1st, 2015.
Yes.
Okay.
A knowledgeable seller to a knowledgeable buyer.
Right,
Yep.
in a normal market, which
Yep.
we're kind of in, so I think that would be the thing. And that's not the tax rate. That's not the tax that we're used to paying on our property tax. So again, kind of the weird way Oregon does this. Explain that one to me in terms of how the property tax is separated from the value of the property itself.
So you're talking about Measure 50,
Okay.
which came into effect in 1997, and basically that said everybody's real market value is going to roll back to 1995 minus 10%, and that is going to be a secondary value on that property. And so you have your real market value, of which we believe you could sell your house for on January 1st of any given year, and once that maximum assessed value gets set, that's your assessed value, and that grows by 3%.
So any property, is that correct? Now, any property that we have today that were built or back then went to 1995 levels, and then it went 3% a year from there.
Yeah. 95 minus 10%,
Minus
up
10%,
3.
3%.
Well,
are
the
we
real market value, you can do
now,
whatever
are
you
we
want.
way above that now? Because the 3%, the thing that bothers me, Pam, is that the 3%, 3% is beginning to add up now 20, almost 20 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your taxes essentially will double every 22 years.
Every 22
with that
okay,
3% growth.
Well, then we're going to have the doubling in about 5 more years or so. Oh.
Yeah.
We will have been at that double point.
And then we're going to be back to where we're going to have another property measure probably come through and readjust things again because voters will be paying oogles amount of property taxes around.
And Measure 50 is such a complex thing that no single person wants to take it
Tackle
on
it.
and figure it. It's like they try to fix little pieces, which
Yeah.
kind of explode at times to bigger issues as well.
Do you get lots of complaints of the property tax increase, or is that not even out there anymore? Do people talk about that?
They did from about 2008 to 2012, where their property values were going down and their taxes were still going up because that's the way the law is written.
Right.
The problem with Measure 50 is because there's essentially 3 values on your property. You have the real market value, you have the maximum assessed value, but then you have your assessed value, which is the lesser of either of the two. And once the real market value falls below that level, then you could possibly not have that 3% growth in assessed value over 1 year. You can have that assessed value grow by any percentage until it hits that ceiling of maximum assessed value again.
But generally, you're saying what the property when the value goes below the assessed my value goes below the assessed value, that's when I'm underwater, right?
That's when your taxes are going
My taxes are going to be underwater, and that's what's so people who've had increases, I know, of double digits because their property values went down and now they're coming back, and these kinds of things happen. It's hard to explain this to buyers and sellers, especially buyers, isn't it? Sometimes
It's very
Pam?
hard, especially coming from out of state because they don't understand at all. Their tax structure is different, especially coming from California. In California, your assessed value changes when you sell the house. It becomes the new assessed value, and that's not the way it works here.
Oregon
and so
does
it's
not
very
do
hard.
that, yeah.
No.
There was a measure, if I believe, in fact, the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors and OAR and all those went after this, that the legislature, I believe, wanted to tie that. Whatever you sold your new property for, that was going to be the new property tax rate, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that would have been a disaster. I mean, I can't even.
Because, we already have a lot of fluctuation from property to property on property taxes, because you can have one house could have a different tax rate, or not tax rate, but amount of taxes compared to their neighbor, depending on when it was built and all these things that go into the equation. But there's a lot of what we say is Measure 50 is not fair or equitable.
No,
and
no, it's
so
not,
that
absolutely.
would further that.
Yeah.
It would have to be that's one of those things, you attack one thing because the problem is so big that eventually you create a larger problem by trying to make this one little fix.
That's usually what government does. It's create more of a problem than it tries to fix.
So the
Go ahead.
question is, how do we tackle that tax structure? Something's going to have to be done, and we have to tackle it somehow. And I think it's going to be a matter of us as a community getting together and figuring out how to make
It'll
it
probably
work.
come from initiative petitions because I don't think legislators can do this. It's going to come from people who started the revolution back in 1990 anyway.
Yeah, with
I
Measure
think-
5 and then
I think
Measure
you're
50.
right.
Measure 50 was a citizen initiative.
Yeah.
So,
We'll go
and then
on.
they screwed it up. So then they had to rewrite it. So,
Well, go on. I know that at one time, I mean, people who complain about that, you can't appeal the kinds of decisions that are made, whether it's new construction, whether it's whatever. You can appeal these things.
Yep.
I remember when you first started in your new job as assessor, you had a lot of this. Tell me what the difference is today. Are you still getting a lot of appeals, or has the property tax appeal process kind of evened out or settled out, or not much?
it's settled out a lot, where in 2011 we had 660 appeals, and last year we had 150.
That's significant.
Yeah.
That's
Because
quite a
it's
difference.
not it's a lot of time for the assessor's office, but also the clerk's office, because the structure is, I tell you how much taxes are going to be, the tax office sends out the statements, and then the clerk is the one that administers the appeal process. So it's kind of like this check and balance.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that sounds really good. I want to show you, if we can go to the slides for just a minute, because Josh, I wanted just to show you this is how crazy the market was. Okay, and I guess we can see it right over here. Oh, there it is. Okay,
Yep.
Real market value and the MAV,
Maximum assessed
maximum
value.
assessed value.
Yeah,
So tell us what you're showing us here.
So the real market value is what we believe you could sell your house for, and that you see the bubble and then the burst, and then somewhat of the recovery that we're experiencing right now.
So the top of that thing in 2008 there, that was the real market values had risen that high in our county, correct? And then look how far, Pam, those dropped
Yep.
below the line up until 2013, and now they are rising again. That is, I mean, that's how crazy. Look at the lead up to it. Is there any doubt why it went off the cliff?
Right.
Right. And you got one more, and then this is now. What is this one here?
This is, they're kind of the same thing. The thing I'm trying to illustrate with the maximum assessed value, which is that gray line on the bottom, is once your real market value falls below that ceiling, your property taxes can increase until it hits that again. So like 2013 to 2014, it rose, about 15 grand? So that's 15 times whatever your
Tax rate is.
yeah, your tax rate is, and so until it hits that ceiling.
A lot of people really got hurt by this, didn't they? At one time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because
Well,
they
you
saved
can
it in a
see,
couple
there was-
years, and then
there was
all
a-
of a sudden we made it up.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of suffering that went on in houses, we know, and people, and these kinds of things really illustrate that quite out there. Okay, how are you doing today in terms of, like, you talked about trending, and I want to ask you also about new construction and valuation. So we'll start with new construction. When you were here in 2011, there was no new construction going on. I mean, nothing.
Right.
No, there was none.
Now, I mean, the MLS stats, the SO MLS
starting
stats, of which
to,
Pam's a past president of that, they've come back. How do you establish the value for new construction?
Well, we have base values, which we've gone through our sales and established what a certain quality of house based on square footage, how much value that would be across the
Based on
board.
square footage.
Yeah, square footage, quality of construction, depending on what amenities you have, what is that value of that house. And so where we've talked about this a little bit before is if this is you built like a detached garage, a new house, anything like that, subdivided your land, and this is the first year that tax statement's going to reflect that, this is your only shot to have that value revised. Otherwise, it gets stuck.
You need to explain
get
that
it right.
to me. Okay, why is that? Explain why that is. I mean, when you say, I've got new construction, I've got a new home, I'm going to get a property tax statement from you.
Yeah.
I'm going to open that up, and I'm either going to be shocked, or I'm going to be okay, kind of.
Yeah, usually
my
if
world
we have
is.
it low, no, we don't hear from people.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
say
that's true.
if you built a new house and it was $300,000 of what we believe the value was, but you're like, no, it should only be $250,000. But if you don't come in and say, well, I think you're $50,000 too high, then once that December 31st, after you get that tax statement, it gets locked in forever.
How do I prove to you that it's $50,000 less? See, that's
You can get
always
sales price appraisals. If you have listings or sales of like properties in your neighborhood or like neighborhoods, anything that can support your, or you have evidence to.
And Pam, you're saying it's really important that you get that right for a
Absolutely.
homeowner.
You need to get that right in the beginning, yeah.
Because why? I mean,
Well, because you can't change it, like Josh said.
You just can't change
You can't
it.
change it, so you need to make sure you have a proper value to start with. And I was wondering what you use to establish that base value. Do you have for instance, as realtors, we have a program called RPR where we can go in and tell them if they remodel, and there's a program that tells us that. And it comes from a national company that researches all those things. Is that where the county gets that information? Or?
Yeah, we basically have to, what we call it's called the recalculation, where we take a sales price and we take the inventory on those houses, and it's done on an en masse scale. So it's not just one sale or
Right.
2 sales, it's 100 sales or 200 sales. And basically we're taking pieces of each one, so we're estimating that the land is worth this much, that the on-site developments are worth this much, that this quality of house is worth this much. And when you throw that into the tableized computer system, it spits, so if I go out and say, you know, this 1,500 square foot house that's of average quality, it has this, it has that, it's going to be worth 225. If I put all that information into the computer, the computer's going to
Spit out an evaluation for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that pretty accurate?
at times. It depends.
It depends.
And
Yeah.
so as a realtor, oftentimes we get people coming to us asking us to help them come to you. And because we can give them those comps that you're talking about, the sold comps and the actives that are out there currently. And so those are the ways that we can help them come up with the information that they have to prove that they have a current discrepancy in their valuation.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the computer doesn't know, hasn't been to the neighborhood and doesn't know this is exactly, what they're.
Do you physically go look at new construction?
Yes, we
So-
look at
so you
everything
will
that's
go
new
look at
construction.
a new place.
That's our biggest mandate, is to go after the new construction. We do something called inventory review, where we take, say the City of Talent, and we go and visit each property and reappraise those properties. But it's essential that once you have something of new construction, then this is the most important time to look at your tax statement.
But you don't go physically to just normal homes. And
No,
do that.
because,
But
we've
you use
already-
what, trending? Is that what you use to? Tell me how you do that.
Yeah, once we go out and visit the house on the first or second time with, and we've made sure that that appraisal is accurate, then there's nothing in the law that says we have to go back and visit that property forever. There used to be, prior to Measure 50, you would have to visit a property every 6 years.
Yeah, I thought
Right.
that was still there.
Yeah, no, and so the thing with that is we just try to reappraise everything as best we can.
You can
thing
information.
with-
Okay.
yeah,
You
so-
get information from neighbors and sales and everything else. To
Yeah.
Help you.
Yeah, but
determine
so
that.
say you built your house 20 years ago. You're not so much worried about, I just added something new, this is going to lock me in. But you can come in and request us to look at your appraisal. Say there's something in our inventory that we just don't have right. You can also have that value reduced. You just have to be able to reduce that value below that maximum assessed value. Otherwise, even if we reduced it to, say it was $100 more than that ceiling, you're not going to see any tax relief.
No tax.
Yeah.
No tax relief.
And
is
I think that's the thing
generally-
that surprises a lot of people when they do go in for an appeal, is the fact that they think, well, my price went down, my taxes should go down. Well, it has to go down by a certain
amount
percentage.
to be below that line
Yes,
you were showing in
yeah.
order for that to do that.
Yep.
That's just
And it's
kind
hard
of
for
a
people to
weird,
understand
a weird
that,
thing
yeah.
to do. We're going to be out of time. We only have 5 minutes left here. I want to ask you guys about some rural property issues regarding valuations. Do you see that? I see that, and you do too. I know, Pam. They seem to be increasing, and the demand for these is really growing in our valley.
Yeah.
Is that going to? How are the values going there?
They're going, well, it depends on what area you're looking
Okay.
at. I mean, if you're looking at Roosh and Applegate, that was about 9% increase from last year.
Okay.
Sam's Valley was about 11%. So it just depends on what, rural Ashland, so Immigrant Lake all the way up, that was about another 11%. So it just depends on where you're at. But yes, you are seeing those double digits mainly across the board.
Has the legal marijuana had an issue in the assessments, or is that going to play a role in the future in our new world that
I think it
we're
will.
in? You think it will?
Yeah, I would say especially in those unbuildable properties that people are just, they want acreage. so they can park a camper and grow
4 plants
yeah.
if they want, whatever, huh?
yeah, whatever they want to do. Or if they're, however they get into the dispensaries or anything like that, that's where I see a lot of
It really has some effects on real estate, though, doesn't it? In
Right,
terms of brokers and buyers and sellers.
We're
of
still
this.
trying to sort out what the liability is going to be for the seller, the liability for the real estate agent, the disclosures that might be required. It's kind of a can of worms right now, but we're working on it.
It's really interesting. Well, it's fluid, I guess, is the way you may describe it. But it's certainly that and GMO-free, the demand for that, the issues of water, and all these things.
And the marijuana issue is going to make the water issue even bigger.
Because
you need a lot of water.
That and, nothing's ever easy. Is there anything in this area, regardless of that concerns you that people need to know about, or is there something out there that you look at stuff in the future that you say, wow, we should be aware of this?
I think you already talked about the, is this sustainable growth?
Okay.
That's a big thing. A couple years ago, or especially last year, I was kind of concerned of whether if it kept going at 20-25%, I don't know if it was sustainable. So that was a thing that I think that was my biggest concern.
It's really weird that it wouldn't have climbed that much, because it was a big year, real estate year, 2014. And 2015 is even going to be, it seems like it's going to be bigger.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing of the trend of 2015? It's going to continue to grow, but the issue is going to be, is it going to be sustainable, or going to go really high? I guess that's kind of the thing.
The real estate economists that we've talked to recently with their crystal balls have indicated that they expect that we're going to have a normal appreciation probably until about 2019. And in 2019, they expect that we're going to have a little bit of a downturn. Not like we've had in the past, more of a normal recession, but they're expecting that in 2019 we might have a little leveling off.
But it's going to continue on. The building, we're going to see that. We're going to see more pressure in our valley. And so, well, Josh, you kind of you hold the key to a lot of it, don't you? There at the assessor's office, and
at least when it comes to taxes.
When it comes to taxes, yes, you're the guy to go to. So, hey, we appreciate the information, and again, so people can always contact you at the courthouse. You're easy to find and easy to get a hold of.
We're always there, and we're always interested in making, even though it's not a fair and equitable system, at least making it a fair appraisal so everybody's taxed right.
And that's all anybody can ask, is to be fair. That truly is. Pam, nice to visit with you. SOM, past president, SOMLS. That's where all the information goes. We got it. We can't do it without the SOMLS and RVAR. So thank you very much. So we want to just give a quick guide, if we can go to the slides for 1 minute here, and then we'll be out of here. We want to remind you that, of course, the Real Estate Show is also on KMED every Saturday at 11 a.m. AM 1440 or FM 106.7. Our next live show here at RBTV will be on Tuesday, November the 10th at 6 o'clock. You can watch all of our shows on our YouTube channel or realestateshoworegon.com. Of course, we want to thank the sponsors and supporters of our Real Estate Show program. And of course, if you have any questions regarding the shows, you can get a hold of Joe or I. We love visiting with you anytime. That'll do it for the Real Estate Show, and thank you for making it a part of your evening. Thanks to our student crew here at SOU for their support of tonight's program. We couldn't do it without them. Thanks to all of you, and enjoy the rest of the evening.